If thinking was the answer, you'd already have peace. But here you are, awake at 2 a.m., replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, wondering if you said too much or not enough, planning 10 steps ahead, then doubting the first one. This is what overthinking feels like. A mental treadmill, exhausting. But you're not actually going anywhere. You're not alone, and no, you're not broken. But the solution isn't more thinking. It's something much deeper. This video is about why you can't outthink your way to clarity, and how to get out of your head and into your life. Let's talk about the loop. Overthinking always feels productive. It feels like you're solving something, but 90% of the time, you're not. You're recycling worry, spinning what-ifs, running scenarios. You're busy mentally, but still stuck emotionally. Because thinking isn't the problem. It's trying to think your way through a feeling. And that never works. Let me tell you about Leo. Leo was a developer who never made a move without a spreadsheet. Dating, spreadsheets. Career decisions, spreadsheets. Life goals, you guessed it, spreadsheets. But when he got passed over for a promotion, he spiraled. He kept analyzing. What did he say wrong in the interview? Was it the timing? Was it a political thing? Weeks passed, no peace, until his mentor said, "You're not thinking, you're looping." That hit hard, because loops don't end, they just drain. Thinking should clarify. Looping confuses. So what's the difference? Thinking leads to action or understanding. Looping leads to more looping. Here's how you know you're stuck in a loop. You keep asking the same question. Your solutions bring more anxiety. You feel mentally tired, not clear. You're solving problems that haven't happened. And here's the kicker. The more you try to think better, the worse you'll feel. Because now you're frustrated that you're thinking too much about thinking too much. This is the overthinking trap. And to break out, you don't need more logic. You need motion. Because a brain is a brilliant tool, but it was never designed to be the whole system. Your body, your breath, your awareness, they're part of the operating team too. You can't fix a feeling with a formula. You have to feel it, then move through it. Let's pause here and look at the science. Overthinking activates the default mode network, DMN, in your brain. It's a part linked to self-referential thoughts, thinking about yourself, your future, your past. When the DMN is overactive, people report higher levels of anxiety and lower levels of satisfaction. But when you engage in present moment tasks like walking, drawing, cooking, deep breathing, activity in the DMN decreases. In short, the body grounds the mind. This is why advice like just stop thinking about it doesn't work. You can't will yourself out of the DMN. You have to shift systems. And that starts with embodiment. Try this next time you catch yourself looping. Stand up. Name what you're feeling out loud. Move your body, even 30 seconds of shaking, stretching, or walking. Then breathe, 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, for at least a minute. You'll feel the shift. Your mind won't go silent, but the volume will be lower. And in that lowered volume, space appears. In that space, action becomes possible. And action, that's how we move from stuck to steady. Let's get practical. Here's a tool. The Break the Loop checklist. When you're caught in a spiral, 1. Ask, what's the actual question I'm trying to answer? 2. Ask, is this something I can act on right now? 3. If yes, take one tiny action. 4. If no, name it. Write it down and give yourself permission to revisit it later. Because a loop is only powerful when you stay in it. Exit it once and you've weakened it forever. Let's look at where overthinking hides. doesn't always show up as worry. Sometimes it dresses up as planning, or preparation, or just being thorough. But there's a difference between thoughtful planning and fear-based paralysis. Here's how to tell. Planning ends in the decision. Overthinking avoids one. Preparation builds confidence. Overthinking builds doubt. Thoughtfulness feels calm. Overthinking feels chaotic. If it's not helping you move, it's probably overthinking. Take Maya, for example. Maya wanted to start a podcast. She bought the mic, researched the software, designed the cover art, but every time she sat down to record, she froze. Not because she didn't know what to say, because her mind was filled with the what ifs. What if no one listens? What if I sound nervous? What if I run out of things to say? So instead of recording, she researched again, watched tutorials, tweaked her brand colors. That's our progress. That's motion sickness. Overthinking turns preparation into avoidance, and avoidance keeps your gifts locked away. So what broke the cycle? One day, she promised herself she'd record for just 5 minutes. No editing, no deleting, just 5 minutes. She hated it. Then she listened back and realized it wasn't awful. It was honest. And that honesty, it resonated. She posted it. Today, she has thousands of listeners. Not because she got rid of the doubt, but because she stopped letting it drive. Here's the truth. You don't need to feel ready to act. You don't need to act to feel ready. Let's talk about identity for a second. Overthinking comes from identity friction, the gap between who you think you are and who you want to be. Your brain's job is to keep you safe. So when you try something new, something outside the boundaries of your current identity, it throws up thoughts. Who are you to do this? What if people judge you? What if you fail? It's not trying to ruin your life. It's trying to protect the version of you that already exists. But growth means outgrowing that version. And the only way to do that is through action. Each action is a vote for your future self. Not thinking about the action, doing it. You're not an imposter for being afraid. You're an imposter when you pretend to be fine while staying stuck. Real confidence comes from doing it scared. You'll never outthink your fear. But you can outact it. Start small, move messy, let the momentum teach you. And remind yourself, clarity isn't found in the mind. It's found in the doing. Let's flip the narrative. What if your overthinking isn't a flaw, but a flag? A signal that something matters deeply to you, that you care, that you're alive to your decisions. But it's only helpful if you know how to read the signal, not get stuck in its noise. So let's reframe the experience. Instead of asking, why am I overthinking this? Try asking, what does this tell me about what I value? What fear is underneath this? What would I do if I trusted myself just 10% more? These questions shift the spotlight from paralysis to perspective. Let's talk about systems. Because managing overthinking isn't about a one-time fix. It's about building a new rhythm. Here's one called the head, heart, body check-in. Try this before making a big decision. 1. Head. What do I think about this? 2. Heart. What do I feel about this? 3. Body. What does my body do when I imagine saying yes versus saying no? Overthinking happens when you let the head dominate the conversation, but wisdom lives in the full system. You're a whole person. Use all of you. Now let me tell you about Tariq. Tariq was a software engineer, always praised for his logic. When it came to relationships, he froze, ghosted people, avoided hard conversations. He said, I need time to think. But what he really needed was to feel. That's the shift. Thinking is useful, but it should be a bridge, not a cage. Live your life inside of draft mode. Life happens in the sending. And if you're still not convinced, here's what the data says. Studies from the University of Michigan found that Excessive rumination increases cortisol levels, your stress hormone, which impairs memory, sleep, and even immune function. So yeah, overthinking literally makes you sick. Meanwhile, mindfulness-based practices, especially those involving movement like yoga, tai chi, and walking meditations, have been shown to reduce rumination and improve decision-making clarity. You don't need another spreadsheet. You need a stretch. You don't need a better pros and cons list. You need to breathe, walk, and trust the data your body is giving you. Because overthinking disconnects. Presence reconnects. And the bridge between the two? It's action. Let's talk about patterns. Most overthinkers have rituals. They just don't realize it. Think about what you do when you're overwhelmed. Do you scroll aimlessly? Reopen your to-do list for the 10th time? Ask 5 people for their opinion and feel more confused after? These are rituals, and they reinforce the loop. So what if you built new rituals? Rituals that ground, that redirect, that remind you that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a mystery to be lived. Let's build one now, a ritual that you can run anytime you feel a loop forming. The interrupt and reconnect ritual. Step 1, interrupt. Close your laptop, put your phone on airplane mode, set a 3-minute timer. Step 2, reconnect. Place one hand on your chest, one on your belly. Breathe slowly. Ask, what am I afraid of right now? Write one sentence, just one. Step 3, reset. Do something physical. Walk, stretch, touch cold water. Return only when your breath has slowed and your shoulders have dropped. This 5-minute practice is not magic, but it's movement. And movement is how we reclaim space from spirals. Let's revisit Leo, the spreadsheet guy. 6 months after that tough talk with his mentor, he changed how he made decisions. He still used data, but only after he asked himself, what does my body say? He said it felt weird at first, like letting go of control. But over time, he realized control was the illusion. Clarity was the goal. And clarity doesn't shout, it whispers. You have to slow down enough to hear it. Here's the takeaway. Overthinking is not about being wrong. It's about being stuck. And the cure for stuck isn't certainty. It's motion. Small, honest, embodied motion. You want to get out of your head and stop arguing with your thoughts. Start acting from your values. Because the brain will always find something to worry about. But your heart, your body, you're waiting for you to come home. So stop thinking harder. Start moving softer. Let's zoom out and get real. Spend enough time living in your head, and you already know, more thinking isn't the answer. The truth is, what you need is already inside you. But you can't think your way to it. You have to return to it. That means moving your body when your brain won't stop spinning. Breathing like it's the most important thing in the world, because it is. Doing one small, brave thing instead of 100 imagined things. And yes, sometimes that means doing something before you feel ready. Because readiness is a byproduct of movement, not a prerequisite for it. Let's be honest, the cost of overthinking isn't just time, it's your energy, your peace, your ability to be fully here in the only life you get. So what are you avoiding? What conversation? What project? What truth? Whatever it is, that's your doorway out of the loop. And here's the last thing I'll leave you with. Thinking is a tool, like fire. You can warm you, light your path, or burn your house down. Use it wisely. Don't live inside it. Live here, in the breath, in the step, in the doing. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just one small action away from feeling steady again. So take it, because you can't think your way out of overthinking, but you can move your way through it.